So today I'm talking about why most SaaS startups fail. Actually, I'm talking about why startups fail, not only SaaS. And I'm talking about this issue from a novel philosophic perspective. Actually, I am a serious entrepreneur and founder of Megi and Jeenie, the SaaS accounting and ERP software. Yeah, actually, I'm talking about this issue on a philosophic perspective, I just recently I read this book, The Unified Theory of Evolution. It is written by a Chinese philosopher Wang Dongyue, and I think he is the greatest philosopher in the history of human being. And actually, he solved all the remaining questions posed by the Western philosophy. Yeah, and I have the book, and maybe if you are interested, you can buy his book. So I only touch upon the most superficial actually issues of this of his theory, and later I will use this theory to interpret my experiences of running my startups. And actually, it is the law of existence, or the law of being, the existence of being. So what is existence? Existence means everything in the universe, everything in the universe. Yeah, and actually, the theory actually managed to abstract the law that is governing everything in the universe. So everything in the universe will have to adhere to that law to maintain its existence. So at the beginning, we have the concept of being and existence. Actually, what is existence? It is not about what we see and what we can perceive. It is more about the structural coupling of things, the things structurally coupled together or connected together. Yeah, and those things, those substances that are coupled together can be regarded as reliant conditions. So things cannot survive, things cannot exist without, connecting with, effectively connecting with their reliant conditions. And different things, they have a different way, they have a very different ways to achieve a congruent connections or coupling with its reliant conditions. And this different way, that means different points of the connection, different ways of the connection, and different ways of the coupling means information. So that's how we define what information is. So let's look at some of the beings, some of the existence. The most simple, most primitive existence is the atom, right? Atom. So atom is shaped by atomic nucleus and electrons coupled together. And then the electrons become the condition of atomic nucleus. And also atomic nucleus is the condition of electron. So they are shaped together by a specific way. What is the way? It's the negative charge and positive charge interconnected. That is the unique way to shape the atoms. Yes. And the negative charge and positive charge actually represents information at that level. So let's move on to look at the bat. So the bat, actually bat is another more advanced form of being, right? A bat can perceive its environment by supersonic wave. It does not have an eye, it does not have to use eyes, right? But it still can maintain its existence, and by seeking, finding, and catching its prey by a receptor, and to catch up with the supersonic waves, right? So a bat have a very unique way of maintaining a congruent connection with its reliant conditions, which are its praise. Okay? And later we have the human being is another kind of being. It becomes much more complicated. And the company is even more complicated being. So everything in the universe are regarded as being. Yeah. They are governed by the same underlying principle. The law of existence. Yes. So what I want to say is that, to maintain existence, your capabilities to connect with your reliant conditions does not have to be very powerful, does not have to be very capable. What is important is the way to achieve congruent connection with your reliant conditions. So that's how I want to explain how we can make a successful startup. Okay. So, as I said, I'm a serious entrepreneur, and originally I worked with Kingdee. I think probably some of you know about Kingdee. Kingdee is one of the top brands of ERP systems in China. Yeah, I worked in Kingdee first of all as an employee, and later I quitted Kingdee and I formed my company doing business as a reseller and implementation partner of Kingdee. Actually, this is my first business as an implementation partner of Kingdee. It is a company. It is a mature business. It is a startup, but it is not a startup with a novel or creative idea. The idea, the business model has already been proven. So I run a very successful, Kingdee implementation partner, and I run this company for about 6 years, and it eventually became very profitable. Yeah. But today, when I'm talking about startups, I'm talking about the startup to prove a novel or a new creative idea. So these kind of startups is very likely to fail, very likely. I think more than 95% of these types of startups fail, including my startup, Megi and Jeenie. And Megi didn't fail, but it almost failed. It is there. We still serve a number of customers. We survived, but we were not so successful. Yeah, and Jeenie is our new company, our new startup. But however, in terms of this type of startup, to prove a novel and a creative idea, I still group them into two categories. Number one is a startup to address existing in-depth information. Number two is information which has not yet risen. Yeah. So, what's the difference? I will come back to the difference later. But I want to say that all my startups, including Megi and Jeenie, falls into this category. This is relatively easier. This is easier. This is more difficult. Okay? So, I want to just recap my, first company. It's an implementation partner of Kingdee. Yeah. So I was working as an employee of Kingdee between 2003 and 2009. So I served the foreign business account in China. I dedicated to serve foreign business account in China. I introduced Kingdee to foreign companies in China, and I also implement the software. And later, I quitted Kingdee, and I formed my own company called ABIC, and I worked for this company between 2009 and 2014, also dedicated to serve foreign businesses. A large majority of my clients are from Germany, United States, or other European countries, trading or manufacturing. And the business was eventually quite profitable because I built my business on a proven foundation. Okay. So I succeeded. Sorry. I succeeded in a mature and a proven business model. Yeah. But unfortunately, Kingdee, the usability of Kingdee is not so good. So yes, lots of my foreign business clients, they complain about the efficiency, operational efficiency, and the usability of Kingdee. And that's why I came across, before that, I want to explain what is a proven business model, a shipped and a viable business. Okay. We have a mature product, and the product has already a market, a proven market. That means consumers, business clients who are willing to buy this product, who are willing to pay for this product, with a defined requirement and a shipped market. Yes. And the other thing is that there's a recognizable brand. For example, the majority of Kingdee's customers are Chinese domestic businesses. And they choose to buy an ERP software by evaluating the branding of the vendor. That's why Kingdee is now already very successful. That's the way they connect with their reliant conditions, by recognizing the branding. What I mean, they fail to go in depth to assess the performances and functionalities of the system they are going to buy. They just rely on the branding because they are relatively inexperienced in using ERP systems. But that's the way they buy the software. That's the way to shape the existence of Kingdee. Yeah. And also, a business model proved to be profitable. I just carried the same business model after I left Kingdee. I was very successful I became very successful as a manager when I was working in Kingdee. And after that, I just carried this same business model along into my new company, and I became also very successful. So this is a shaped and viable business. Okay, so what is a shaped and viable business? A proven business with all information that has risen. A proven, yeah. So that means I start my own company. It does not mean it is a real startup. It does not mean that. But the background factors that sustain the proven business model insistently change at an increasingly fast pace. So you can remember the second slide. You know, the existence and being, they just evolve, and they become increasingly complicated, and they will have to rely on increasingly number of reliant conditions to shape its existence. That's why the reliant conditions, the background factors, change at an increasingly fast pace. That's why we can see increasingly faster the companies, even they eventually prove their business model and become a mature business, especially in the internet age. They will have to adjust, or they fail faster after the business model is approved. Okay. So my second journey is Megi. So what is Megi? Megi is a cloud accounting software. In the year 2014, I came across Xero. I think some of you may know about Xero. Xero is very successful cloud accounting software for small businesses. It originated from New Zealand, and it is successful in Australia and England and other English-speaking countries. So when I just trial use Xero, I was very impressed by the breakthrough in the product design of this kind of software. I was astonished. How can an accounting software be made so easy to use? So that's why I just came up with the idea. So maybe we can imitate its design, because the programming, the development, technically not so difficult. And I can introduce the same idea to China. So that's how I shaped my own idea. And actually, at the same time, there were two other startups who raised the funding from venture capitalists, but they already failed. They already closed their business too. And because why? Because the idea is that they want to actually replicate QuickBook Online or Zero in China to service small startup business in China, internet business. And the idea failed. They tried that idea and they failed. Why? Because the large majority, 99.999% of the Chinese small business are not serious about managing and visualizing their financials. That's a given condition. And they didn't recognize that. They didn't recognize the given condition from the very outset of their startup attempt. That's why both of them already closed their business. So actually, it's the way things grew connected, you see. Even if you have a powerful idea, you have a powerful product, it does not necessarily mean that you will become successful. Because a being or existence would be successful by congruent connections or coupling with your reliant conditions. That's the most important thing. So that's why when I came up with the idea of Megi, I already understood it is not workable in servicing Chinese local businesses. But I started to work with the foreign small business in China. There are more than 100,000 small foreign business. It already shaped a size of market big enough for us to survive. So that's why I focused on this market. And my first attempt is to follow the business model of Zero, and I just developed the accounting service channel, because the product is very cheap. I cannot approach the business customers one by one. I have to work with accounting services, and the product is used by the accounting services as a platform to work in collaboration seamlessly on cloud with their business clients. So if I work with one accounting service, I will generate maybe 50 to 100 business clients. Very effective. That's the business model. I follow the same business model. This is my first attempt. But my first attempt was not successful. Why? Because there is one more information I failed to identify. Not only me, but also the accounting services, they failed to identify. I raised the funding from crowdfunding. About 15 owners, partners of accounting services, servicing foreign business in China, invested money to make it. Because they believe, oh, this is the future of our industry. They believe that. But what is the problem that caused our failure? No, we didn't fail, but we were not successful. Eventually, we found that it is because of the qualification of the Chinese bookkeepers and accountants. The software assumes management accounting for small businesses. It assumes a higher level of capabilities of accounting professionalism for the accountants. But in China, most of the accountants, they do bookkeeping only for the purpose of statutory compliance and fapiao-based accounting. They do not produce management accounting book for business owners. So that's why they didn't need to use Megi. They can use a very simple bookkeeping software to fulfill their goal. And Megi poses additional complexities to them, which make them feel uncomfortable. So that's why they rejected to use this software. Even the business owners of these accounting firms who invested us cannot control the accountants. this condition is not changeable, very difficult. So we spent about 3 years to try to implement Megi in maybe 5 to 10 accounting services. We were not successful. We cannot change the mindset of the accountants. So the information is there, the reliant information, the reliant conditions are there, but a very deep water, unidentified. And it was very costly for us to explore the very deep water. Yeah. Then we move on. We just, we just iterated. We move on. So we just tried to incubate accounting services. We tried to incubate cloud accounting services. We train people. We just train these business owners about how they should look at in the different perspective of their business to provide financial visualization businesses, financial visualization services to their customers. How they should cultivate and train, recruit, cultivate, and train their bookkeeper employees. We tried to do this. And eventually, after about 2 years, it proved again to be unsuccessful. Very unfortunately. Yeah. And then we move on to the third attempt. Then I have a partner, business partner, Melissa. She's here today, yeah, also. And she's the owner of, she's the, founder of APOC Advisors. We worked together we went through the first attempt and second attempt together. And she's a professional accountant. And then after that, she feels, why does not she form her own accounting firm? Just a full cloud accounting concept, management accounting services. And eventually, her business proved to be very successful. This was completely unexpected from the beginning. But Megi cannot rely on only one big client, right? But her business became very successful. Why? Because she could provide much higher value-added services to clients versus all the others who failed to take advantage of Megi. Okay, so that's all our findings. Eventually, her businesses achieved congruent couplings with all the reliant conditions, eventually. And she shaped the existence of her business. Okay. So, as I talk about, success is not ensured simply because of a great product. We did a great product, Megi. Why? Because some of our clients, they use Megi for more than 6 or 7 years. They are still very happy. So the performance of the product is outstanding. There's no question. But it does not necessarily have to be successful just because you have a good product, a great product. And what is the deep water? We need to really explore the reliant conditions and how we can connect congruently with the reliant conditions. So there is vast amount of unknown information in the connection points. We need to find a way to explore that. And then my experiences told me that those who are likely to become a likely winner is to use a new technology, a new business model to solve an old problem. And this entrepreneur has been working in the industry for addressing the old problem for many, many years. So that's why he has already the information in his brain. He knows about everything. He knows about how to reconnect, how to reshape the existence by the new technology. So this type of startup with a novel or creative idea is more likely to prove to be successful. So this is my experience. And yeah, sometimes you may have an idea, But you may want to use a new idea to address a problem from an industry that is unfamiliar to you. I would like to say, if you are facing up with this type of startup, this type of entrepreneurship, then be very careful about the deep water. Very careful. 99% of the chance you are not going to be successful, regardless of how talented you are. I want to give you an example. A couple of days ago, one of my friends, she is working for Michael Page as a director, very high level. And she just had a dinner with me, asking me for my suggestions for her novel idea. She wanted to create a social media similar to LinkedIn for the white collars, LinkedIn, because LinkedIn already pulled out of China. And she said, no, I am not doing a complete LinkedIn. I wanted to do a LinkedIn only for the accountants, only for the financial industry, for accountants. Why? Because she has been doing the headhunting only in the accounting industry, for accountants or CFOs. So she said, I'm familiar with this. We want to just attract more accountants to the social media platform so that we can build a bigger database, so that our customers can actually make it easier for them to find their candidates for senior level accountants or CFOs. And I just asked her some questions. I said, yeah, I know you can claim to be a professional expert in headhunting and accountants. But do you know the consumer behavior of accountants in terms of using social media in China? Because the reason why she asked me is that she knows that I'm in the software industry. She needs a partner for software development. She knows that I did a very powerful software, so I can do something like in LinkedIn. I said, no. LinkedIn, the social media platform is completely different. I cannot claim my professionalism in developing software for social media. Okay, but that is not even important. You can find someone. But do you know the consumer behavior? She said not. I told her that, the accountants in China, they do not like to use a social media platform like LinkedIn. They are not active. They do not acquire information from that platform. They are not comfortable in posting information there. So I do not think your attempt is going to be successful. So this is very superficial. Yeah, but this poses some kind of information to her that she needs to rely on. Then she canceled her idea. Yeah. So this is it. So what I mean is that you try to fail fast to succeed faster. Do not go into the business. Do not start fundraising. Do not go into the business before you can collect sufficient amount of information, as much as possible, to falsify your idea. This is the first step. Okay. So the next journey is Jeenie. Jeenie. Okay. Actually, in the Zero platform, we found there are a lot of add-ons like inventory systems and payroll and payments and POS, electronic commerce. There are a lot of add-ons. And one of the add-ons is inventory management software, Deal Systems. So what we did later over the last 2 years is that we just developed a ERP system with the functionalities of inventory management as well as accounting, with the design idea extracted from Deal Systems and Zero. It becomes a very usable product, but actually it is a ERP system. It is no longer only a accounting system for small business. Now the system can be used by trading companies, by manufacturing companies. Now we have a project with a much higher project amount value we can earn to actually finance our operations. And when the foreigners, they choose the software, they do not look at brands because they know about what they need. in terms of their management and accounting and controlling requirements. They are experienced in already applying and implementing ERP systems. And when they came to us, they would just show me your product, show me all your functionalities, and I will need you to prove your product fits well into my business. And after that, they can make a decision because they collect sufficient information to make a decision. Because then, in that case, they do not need a branding. They do not need a branding. People need branding to make a decision to buy anything because they feel they are not capable of tapping into the in-depth information of the product or services they are willing to buy, they want to buy. And if people are familiar with the specifications, the qualifications, the quality of the product, in assessing the quality of the product, they do not rely on branding. That's a different way of connection, different way of structural coupling. So that's why I can actually develop foreign business accounts. Just like what I did in Kingdee, I do not have to have so many big number of clients. I only need to have a small number of clients. I can still be profitable. So that's why we developed our Jeenie system. And then we now, in the face of the lockdown, so we were very unlucky. When our product was released, we just came across the lockdown in Shanghai. But in the face of that, we still developed 5 reference clients. Everything becomes very easy for me because everything was proven to be successful. I do not rely on additional unknown information. Okay, now what I'm doing is I started the channel development. Okay, for the business. Okay, I returned to my conventional ERP business model. It's no longer a startup with novel or creative idea. It's much likely to be successful. Okay. So there's a last category of the startup. This is the most difficult one, most complicated one. The information that has not risen. What is it? It's a situation where you need to restructure the whole system by introducing a new way to solve the problem for the system, restructure. So how the system is going to be restructured, whether or not it's going to be successful, is information that has not yet risen. How to address that? This is not going to be the topic today. This is going to be something you can find from this famous book. Okay, I think a lot of you know about it. Okay. Okay, thank you. This is my speaking, and this is my WeChat. And thank you all. Now I can have your questions. Okay.